Well, good morning, Valleyview. I hope you're doing well this morning. As we know, this every morning, every Wednesday, we're trying to bring some news regarding Bible, bring some stories from the Bible, and not only from the Bible, but also the funny facts, important facts that we find out in our world, and try somehow to combine them and bring some message this morning. This morning we will try to do that also and see that we also engage in some music. That's why we will hear some songs this morning. Hopefully you will enjoy. And throughout my little conversation with you, I hope that you will hear also the songs in between. And also we will finish with the prayer. That's why I want to thank to the Willowdale Church for giving us their worship songs. I'm very grateful for the two little teams who put together their time and to bring some music to us. But let's hear them first, and we will continue with the message. Some story I find out and I put it on a paper just for me to know that I bringing a message forward. I don't know if you ever heard for a name Francesco Pizarro. very well known in the history because he is the one of the leaders of the Spanish conquistadors who left their country, Spain, and in search for the new countries in what we know today as South America. And with about 164 of his troops, he ended up in Inca Empire in search for gold. The conquistadors eventually found their way into the presence of the young Inca king, and I need to pronounce his name very correct. His name was Atahualpa. Atahualpa. Well, I try to do my best here. Atahualpa, a Spanish priest, a friar, traveling with the Pizarro, then told young monarch that his people needs to change their religion, to reject the gods they are serving, and accept the God of the conquistadors, of the Spanish people, Christian God. When Atahualpa asked them upon what authority they made this demand, the Catholic friar, Catholic priest, handed him a Bible. Atahualpa took the Bible into his hand and put it close to ear, trying to listen to his pages. At least, after a couple of minutes of silence, he asked, "Why don't the books say anything to me?" And he threw it violently on the ground. That was it for the Spaniards, for the conquistadors, and this used it as an insult and as excuse to attack and massacre everyone around the king, and took a king, monarch of Incas, as a captive. It is astonishing to realize how small army of Pizarro's soldiers, only 62 horsemen and 102 infantry, attack and conquer an empire of approximately 5 million people. But Pizarro had the latest technology. He had deadly weapons more advanced than what Incas had. He had guns, mechanical crossbows, and people were so terrified of horses. But when King Atahualpa recognized what reason was behind the conquistadors, he then offered them a gold and came up with a plan to free himself. He told Pizarro that he would give him, for his release, for his freedom, enough gold and silver vessels to be filled with the large 3 rooms. The Spaniards thought that such amount is impossible, but Pizarro agreed because of his gold-hungry desire. Atahualpa decreed that his realm be ransacked to fill 18 by 22 feet, 3 rooms, 1 with the gold and 2 with the silver, which came up to about 8 feet, where that demarcation point was. In addition to it was 3 rooms, as I said. 1 was full of gold and 2 of silver, 8 feet high. By July 1533, more than 24 tons of gold and silver was, with exquisite treasure and craftsmanship, was collected, worth at least $1 billion today. 24 tons, that's an astronomical number. Yet the Spaniards did not honor their promise. Yet the Spaniards did not honor what they said. They kept Atahualpa, Inca's king, imprisoned for another year and then killed him. This is very sad. How sad that the largest ransom ever paid for a man's freedom was in vain. But interestingly, what we have today is more unfortunate still, is that over millions and millions of people, almost billions of people, who have king ransom on a palm of their hands, and they still remain in prison today. And I'm referring to something that God is offering us in Jesus Christ. But before we go there, let us listen to the music.
When peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my Lord thou hast told me to say, it is well with my soul. It is well with my soul, It is well with my soul. My sin, oh, the joy of this glorious thought. I sin not in part, but the whole is nailed to the cross, and I bear it no more. Praise the Lord, oh my soul. It is well with my soul, It is well with my soul. And Lord, haste the day when my face shall be sight, the clouds be rolled back as a scroll, the trump shall resound, and the Lord shall descend. Even so, it is well with my soul. It is well with my soul, It is well with my soul.
Well, we are back. I just shared with you the story about conquering of the Europeans of the South America, where the name Francesco Pizarro, with the Hungry 64 of his soldiers, took upon Inca's territories and conquered that kingdom with such a fast and speed, but also captured the king of the Incas back then, and took about 24 tons of gold and silver for his release. Unfortunately, he never released a king, and history telling us that king was killed. Ransom was paid, but the prisoner was never delivered to the freedom. Why is this important? Because today, what we know from the same Bible that King Atahualpa tossed on the ground, same book testify that ransom was offered for us today. And we still live in prison. Let me explain that. Well, when we talk about reason for Jesus Christ, I try to share something with you during the Christmas, as you remember. I was having 3 little series, short lectures about meaning of a Christmas and what really happened in that times, trying to bring the purpose of the Jesus role and life on earth. But during his life on earth, he said some interesting things. He said some things that brings us to the point where we need to think thoroughly about a reason for what he did for us. And we will just engage one verse here in a math. We will take Luke chapter 10. Very interesting for us to see that. Luke chapter 10, verse when Jesus Christ said, okay, I'm just lost here for a moment. Let me just make sure that I'm having here. Yes, well, that's when your brain doesn't stop working. It's a 10:45, 10:45, and it said here, for even the Son of Man did not came to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. This is so important for us to see and understand. There is a couple of things here that Jesus Christ actually came to conquer earth with the ransom message. He left heaven to tell us right now in this verse that according to him, this verse saying, the Son of Man did not come to serve, but to serve, to be served, but to serve and to give his life in ransom for many. Here there are 2 points I would like to bring. One is he used very interesting title for himself. It's called Son of Man. Well, for us, if we don't know the background of that word or title, we will be losing a meaning of that. But in this verse, he is bringing something extraordinary. He didn't call himself Messiah or Messiah. And interestingly, just to ask ourselves why. Obviously, some political understanding of that word was something that Jesus tried to avoid to associate his role on earth or work on earth, ministry on earth with that word, with that title. Because Jewish people were waiting for a Messiah to come. And he was the one. But understanding of the word Messiah was so much overwhelming with the political connotation, with some social connotation, that Jesus did not find a proper understanding or relating to that word that will describe his mission. But he used different one. He used Son of Man, which is actually Old Testament title that Jesus Christ took from a book of Daniel that describe one who was dancing, if you remember, in a big fiery furnace. He was dancing with the Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego when the king Nebuchadnezzar tossed them into the fiery furnace. And instead of seeing no one there, he saw 3 of the young men and someone like a Son of Man who was with them there. And nothing was burned on them except the tithes that was on their hands. Very interesting. That picture reveals someone who has a power of authority, who has the strength of both power and authority to release prisoners. And that was amazing. People of Jesus Christ's time who were scholars, they understood that chapter 7 as the messianic revelation of his power, of the one who was dancing with the captives. That was beautiful. Jesus take that title Son of Man and applying him to himself. Instead of saying one like a Son of Man dancing with the Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, he's saying, I am Son of Man. And according to him here, he said that he give his life for ransom of many. I mean, this is very interesting statement, because according to the Jewish understanding, and they are right in understanding this way, that only God has a right to redeem. There is no one who can give ransom for my sins. No one who can pay me off in order for me to avoid the judgment on the end. No one except God. No one. I cannot pay money to release you from the judgment that God eventually will deliver. There is no human being who has that authority. Here, Jesus Christ claiming to have authority to give his life as a ransom. Ransom is the same thing as a replacement. That means on my stand, he's moving me from my position of the oppressed or one who is guilty, and putting himself in my place. He said here that he has a right to do that. That was amazing. Where we see that Jewish thought, we can go into the Psalm 49. I hope I will be fast here for a moment. 49. It's a very interesting verse. 49, and in verse 7, 8, and 9, he's stating like this: no man can redeem the life of another or give to God a ransom for him. The ransom for life is costly. No payment is ever enough that he should live on forever and not see decay. That means here we see one of the central verses stating that in front of God no one can redeem one another. Only God can do that. And here Jesus claiming in Mark, we have a same verse in Matthew, that he has that power, that he's Son of Man who come to deliver. That's pretty important thought. That's a very interesting thought, that he has a power to redeem. If that's true, and I believe it is, because for 30 years of my life I claimed this promise, and guess what? God never failed me. God will always, always, always deliver his word. In the Bible, he gives us these promises to have a certainty that he is acting on mine and your behalf. Are you ready? He's willing. He's not only willing, he did that. He set up redemption for you and I through the service, through the life of Jesus Christ. Not only life, but death of Jesus Christ on the cross. You know, there is very unique for Jesus Christ. A lot of people that we know in history, the way how they live it was very much important. But in Jesus Christ's case, he's more important with his death than with his life. Actually, if I want to put that very interestingly, all the Gospels, majority of their pages relate to the last week of Jesus Christ's life, explaining very much. That means he's much more talking through his death to you and I than his life. I do not try to underestimate Jesus Christ's life. He's very much important in that regard. But Jesus did something for you and I, and he claimed it in the verses of the New Testament. He said, I am the one. he claimed in one way that he is a God who creates humankind. And not only that he created, with what he did on the cross, he also became our and mine Redeemer. Then, if we have this security in Jesus Christ, that we are redeemed, that we have a shot for eternity, for heaven, I just wonder, will that bring peace and joy in a life today, right now? I try to recognize this every moment of my day, life I have, and constantly remind ourselves and surrender my heart to Jesus Christ every day, reminding myself of what he did for me on the cross. How about you? He redeemed you and I. He put his life in order for us to have a shot for heaven. And he is the one who did it. That's why this morning I want to bring this to you, to remind you of something beautiful that God has in store for you and I. Well, are you ready? Are you ready to give a shot to this man we call Jesus Christ? Let's see, maybe he will deliver what he promised. And he promised accepting him as a Lord and conqueror of my heart. He's one who can deliver peace and joy in the midst of the circumstances we are surrounded. I know that residents of Valleyview, majority of you are in a wheelchair, but you can be free from that in your heart and mind, knowing that you have a freedom, that you are redeemed by through what Jesus Christ did for you. You are not restrained anymore in your mind and heart with the wheelchair. You have something to expect.
More about Jesus I would know, more of his grace to others show, more of his saving fullness see, more
Let's have a word of prayer. Lord Almighty God, thank you. Thank you that we can just stop for a moment and open your word and be comforted by what you did for us and what we can see in your word, Lord, by your own words, that you find a way to redeem us, God, and you give such a certainty of that you seal that, God, on a cross by sacrificing yourself for us. You give us a way out. That's why, God, let us bring ourselves into your presence and ask you for forgiveness of sins, but also, Lord, according to your word, come into our hearts. Forgive us. Give us a hope of the life that you promise. And let us live according to that faith you just share with us. Because there is something bigger you have in store for us. You prove that with your words. You prove that with your life. That's why, Lord, may your name be praised. Please bless us with your presence. Thank you for forgiveness of sins. And give us courage to continue journey with you according to your word and love and mercy in Jesus Christ's name. Amen. God bless people. Bye-bye.